بسم الله الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد. We continue with the book Kitab Ut-Tawheed by Al-Mujaddid Al-Sheikh Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab, and we're continuing from the chapter Kitab Ma Ja'a fi Sihr. And we will begin this chapter from the beginning, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Bismillah. Firstly, just as an understanding, I want to ask, what do you think sihr is? When you hear the word sihr or a sahir, what do you think we are talking about? Or what do you think the topic is? Yes. Saad, you were here, so you know the ending. What do we talk about? When we said this person is a sahir, he's bedazzling the people.
He's like, he's taking them away.
Taking them away, but he's doing something. No, in bid'ah is innovation. He's doing something new, but when we say bedazzling, he's doing something on the people. Black magic is a form, but we say sahir is a magician, a sorcerer, like that kind of stuff, person who is doing something on someone. And there can be different forms of doing it. So sihr, it contradicts true tawheed. La ilaha illallah, sihr goes against it. And sihr is a form of shirk. So now, when we say sihr, we always give a meaning of lugha, meaning a general meaning, linguistic meaning, and then we give a istilahan shar'i meaning. So when we say lugha, when it comes to general meaning, it is anything which is subtle or hidden. This is sihr. Anything which is subtle or hidden. For example, it comes from the word sahar. Sahar is the last portion of the night, when it's dark, when everything is hidden. This is where we get the word suhoor from. When we eat in Ramadan, we eat suhoor. It's in the time that is hidden, time that is in the dark. This is sahar, hidden, something concealed. And we mentioned a few points last week that also you have sihr when it comes, this is linguistically what I'm saying, yeah? Sihr when it comes to speech. That certain types of speech can be magic. Why? Because it affects the heart and it does something emotional to a person. For example, when somebody says something to someone, it can emotionally affect them to an extent that they will do something without thinking. Or it has an emotional effect on them, and that's a hidden state upon the person. Say this is a form of magic in the general meaning, in the linguistic meaning. Also something known as namima. Namima is me hearing something from you, then going spreading it to somebody else, and spreading gossip from one person to another. This is namima. This is also a form of sihr, because you are hiding in what you are doing and you are spreading these rumors and gossips from one person to another. And this is also a form of magic. And why is it that magic is hidden? Because it is how it is occurred and it's concealed. Because magic in itself is something which is hidden and it's concealed to the people. So this is why it is known as magic. So now when we look at it from the istilah and the shar'i point of view, there's two types we want to look at. One is using amulets, potions, strings, and you tie knots in them and you blow on them, right? These are forms that are used to get closer to the shayateen, the jinn. This form is kufr, this form is shirk, this form takes you away from Islam. And this, they say, the ruling upon this person is that the death penalty will be on this person, unless he seeks forgiveness. So this is the first one. Those that use these to get closer to the shayateen. And one thing we must understand, when somebody is calling upon the shayateen, the jinn, come and help me. Come and do this thing for me. I want to do black magic on a person. I want to harm an individual. Or something may be lost. Something, you might come and say, I have lost my phone, or my phone was here and it's gone missing. So this person will use the shayateen. The shayateen will come and say, the phone is in such and such a place. Because one thing you must understand, the shayateen, the jinn, they can travel miles in a matter of moments. So they will travel and they say, the phone is in such and such a place. So this sorcerer, he will tell the person, your phone is in this place. Go and find your phone. So then they will start believing this person. So this is the person using the shayateen, the jinn. But one thing you must understand, that they worship this jinn, this shayateen. Because when we say worship, what is it? It is, the shayateen will say, you have to do such and such for me to do this for you. You have to go and stay in a desert. You have to go and stay in a dirty place. You have to do this for so many days, and then I will do what you want me to do. In Surah Falaq, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, seek refuge from what? وَمِن شَرِّ غَاسِقٍ إِذَا وَقَبْ. Seek refuge from the night where the shayateen be. The night where the shayateen rest. Because shayateen, we know the jinn, they be in dirty places, for example, toilets and bathrooms, in nights where there's loads of trees and these type of places. This is where the jinn stay. So this is why we should try and avoid walking in these places. When we enter the bathrooms, we say the dua for entering the bathroom, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect me from the male and the female of the jinns. Because these are where they stay. وَمِن شَرِّ النَّفَّاثَاتِ فِي الْعُقَدِ. And seek protection from those knots that are blown upon. You get strings and they tie knots and then they dry spit upon them. This is a form of magic that people use to afflict harm on others. And this is what we seek refuge from. And as I mentioned last week, the Prophet ﷺ also had magic done upon him, to the extent where he would forget what he was even doing. And then Jibreel ﷺ came and he read and he did the ruqiyah upon the Prophet ﷺ, and then he was cured from it. That's the first point of the Sharia. That when you call upon the shayateen, this becomes shirk and kufr, and this takes you out of the fold of Islam, and the penalty upon you is death penalty, capital punishment, unless you repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the second one is, now you have that portion. Now you have that ta'weez. Now you have that drug. You have that thing in your hand, and now you give it to the person you want to afflict this harm upon. That is haram. That stage of it is haram. The first stage is shirk. The second stage is haram, and is upon the ruler what he wants to do with the person. But one thing you must understand, these rules are done in a Muslim land where the Sharia is applied. This is where the death penalty takes place, etc. We don't be like those people who start doing their own penalties in, for example, the UK land or American land, where there is no Sharia law basis in this land, or it's not a Muslim land. That whenever these hudud take place, it takes place in a Muslim land. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, وَلَقَدْ عَلِمُوا لَمَنِ اشْتَرَاهُ مَا لَهُ فِي الْآخِرَةِ مِنَ الْخَلَاقِ. And indeed they knew that the buyers of it, buyers of what? The magic, would have no share in the hereafter. And this is Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah number 102. That these people have no portion of the hereafter, showing that it is kufr. Sihr, magic, is all a form of kufr, and it takes a person out of the fold of Islam. Why? Because these people exchange their Islam, or exchange their deen, their religion, the hereafter, for this portion of magic. Because two angels were sent. They were a test. But the Jews and the Christians, what did they want? They wanted to follow this magic and they sold their religion off. In time of Babylon, they wanted to follow this magic. And this is when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about those that they have sold their religion. And this is why we find many people today, they have sold their religion, they have sold their deen, because when something goes difficult in their life, they forget to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they go to these people and say, find me a cure. How can I get better? How do I get out of this situation? I'm going through this difficulty. What can I do to get out of it? And these are those people going to these people. And we're going to find out, even going to these people, listening to these people, watching these people, you are a part of this haram. It is haram to even watch magic, listen to magic, or even try and imitate it in any form. All is haram. Why? Because it's something which leads to kufr. Shaykh Salih Fawzani says, do not go to them, and they are people that should be dealt with. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْجِبْتِ وَالطَّاغُوتِ. They believe in al-jibt and al-taghut. Al-jibt, Umar radiallahu anhu, he says, it is the sihr, it is the magic. And al-taghut is shaitan. And Jabir, he says, وَالتَّوَاغِيتِ كُهَانٌ كَانَ يَنْزِلُ عَلَيْهِمْ الشَّيْطَانُ فِي كُلِّ حَيْءٍ وَاحِدٍ. He says that Tawaghit, the leader of them, is shaitan. He is the leader of them, the biggest of them, the greatest of the Tawaghit, but is anything which takes you away from the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All these forms come into Taghut, where he says it is originally taken from the Arabic word tagha, meaning to transgress the acceptable limits. Shaitan is the greatest taghut because those who obey him have transgressed the limits of worship, which exclusively belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. وَيَنْزِلُ عَلَيْهِمُ الشَّيْطَانِ, whom the shaitan alights, meaning not Iblis himself, but his people that come. His people will come to people, for example, and they will try to break off families, they will try to break off husband and wife to make them divorce, because that's the biggest thing that a shaitan can do, a jinn can do, because if he breaks off a husband and wife and makes them divorce, what happens is it's not just two people, but it's two families who then break off and have issues with one another. So he is killing many stones, he is killing many birds with just one stone. And this is what they find in the biggest way that they get people away from the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And also it is stated that every tribe had its own soothsayer, had its own magician. So when people would be looking at difficulty, this is in time of Jahiliyyah, when people will be going through difficulties, they will go and ask these magicians for support, for help throughout their difficult periods. وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه أن الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم قال اجتنبوا السبع موبقات قالوا يا رسول الله وما هن قال الشرك بالله والسحر وقتل النفس التي حرم الله إلا بالحق وأكل الربا وأكل المال اليتيم وتولي يوم الزحف وقذف المحسنات الغافلات المؤمنات. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, he says that the Prophet ﷺ, he says, stay away from the 7 destroyers. So the companions ask, oh Ya Rasulullah, what are these 7 destroyers? They say, first and foremost, it is shirk, to associate partner with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then he says, sihr, magic. So one asks the question, sihr is shirk, so why is it put into 2 separate categories? Just to show the severity of it, just to show how important it is, and how magic is something which takes the person out of the fold of Islam and the dangers of it. And then killing someone that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has forbade you to kill. For example, a Muslim or somebody who is under the rule of a Muslim. For example, the Christians, the Jews, the kuffar that are living in a Muslim land under the Muslim ruler, he is not allowed to be killed. Unless bil haqq. Unless there is reason. For example, if somebody in your family was killed, stabbed to death, the rule is that the person will also have the death penalty put upon him. However, unless there is blood money and it accepted from the family, then the person is spared. But initially, the had will be that he is killed. Also, if there is right, for example, in jihad, all this kind of stuff, that's when it is allowed for you to kill bil haqq. But other than that, you are not allowed to kill anyone that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has forbade. Point number 4, riba. And this is something we find today very common. Riba. We always think it is just mortgage. But what else is riba? For example, I say to you, let me borrow £1,000. Next year or in 2 months, I will give you £1,200 back. You think you are making profit, but this is riba. Why? Because the amount you are receiving is the amount you should give back. There should not be any increase. So now you see people, they play clever. For example, the iPad, they will say, for example, I'm the one who needs the money. Right? I'm the one who needs the money. The person will come and say, okay, I will sell you this iPad on credit. £100. But you give me the £100 next month, next year. Give me £100. But I need right this moment £80. So the person says, okay, what to do? Now you bought this off me. It's your possession. Now I will buy it back off you in cash today for £80. So what they're trying to do? They're trying to do two separate sale transactions. Two separate sale transactions. So they're saying, I am buying it off the first person. I'm the one in need of money. But I am buying it off the person for £100 and I said, I will give the money next year. So now I owe this person £100. But he says, okay, I will buy this back off you for £80 cash today. So he has given me £80 that I need, but I still owe him £20 because I already have a deal in place. I'm going to pay him £100 next year. £80 I have given him today, or he has given me today, and I owe him £20 on credit next year. What has happened? I asked for £80 from this person, but he's done a transaction. He's given me £80, but I also owe him £20 in a year, which is also a form of riba. But they have tried to do in a clever way that no, we have done two sale transactions. We have sold the same item twice. We have purchased it and sold it twice. There is nothing to do with owing money, etc. We have just done two transactions. For both were accepted, both went through. But this is what you are playing with the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this is also a form of riba, and we must stay away from. Any form of interest, any form where something is worth X amount and you are giving or you sell it for more than, one is selling it for more than its value. For example, this is worth £100 and me and you come to agreement, you will buy off me for £130. No issue in this. No issue in this. Me and you have come to an agreement and this is profit for yourself. But one is, I have bought it off you for £100, but you said because you are going to give me the money in a couple of months, I want £120, I want £130, I want £140. This extra £30, £40 is the part that is not allowed, which is interest, and we should stay away from. Point number 5, eating the wealth of an orphan. First question is, who is an orphan? So first the question, who is an orphan? What do you think an orphan is? What? It's the one who lost a father. Father before the age of puberty. If you lose your mother, you're still not an orphan. If you lose your father before the age of puberty, you are an orphan. Running away from the battlefield. And there's many instances we get this where the hypocrites were going with the Prophet ﷺ, made it to the battlefield, and then they ran away. So those that go to the battlefield and then run away, these are also from the major sins. and accusing a pious woman of committing zina, adultery. Because we know when we want to say about anyone, male, female, when we say, for example, this person has been speaking to the opposite sex, or this person has done something haram, this person has committed zina, you must bring 4 witnesses to prove your point. With your evidence is not enough. All your evidence is not enough. You must bring 4 witnesses. And if any of those witnesses, or you do not be able to bring 4 witnesses, then you are the one who is whipped because of you putting this severe claim against this person. Whether it is a woman or whether it is a man. You need 4 witnesses to prove your point. وعن جند مرفوعا حد الساهر ضربه بالسيف رواه الترمذي وقال صحيح أنه موقوف. Jundub narrates the following marfu' hadith: the punishment for the sorcerer's magician is that he be struck with the sword. As we mentioned before, we said that the one who is indulged in sihr, the one who is indulged in magic, the punishment for him is the death penalty. And this hadith is just confirming that the one who indulges in this, and this is also, we see people who do the illusionary magic. The ones who, for example, put people in boxes and cut or burn or put swords down their throats or stab themselves with no blood coming out. This is all known as illusionary magic. And Sheikh bin Baz says that this person, also the death penalty upon this person, the one who does illusionary magic. And this is we learn from the people of Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, when they would do this illusionary magic, and there was that they were kuffar, they were mushriks. And Umar radiallahu anhu, he sent a letter to the people saying, kill the sorcerers, kill the magician, which shows that it is a punishment for them. Because what is the reason? Because they corrupt the people, they corrupt the Muslim lands, and they take people away from the deen of Allah subhanahu jalla fi'ula. And inshallah we now begin the next chapter, which is also, all these next chapters we are going to be taking are all linked to sihr. So I don't want to dwell too much. This is more about understanding sihr. And now we're going to go into different examples of sihr. Different examples of magic. Babu bayani shay'in min al-anwa'i as-sihr, identifying some forms of sihr. In the previous chapter, the author outlined the rulings of sihr. In this chapter, he elaborates on some of its forms. Such forms are widely practiced and their causes are hidden from the people to the extent that they are mistakenly believed to be miracles produced by supposed righteous people. One thing you must understand, Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, we believe that the awliya can do certain miracles. Maybe they can walk on water, maybe they can do certain things. But they are people who have the sunnah upon them, have the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on them. Whereas sinners, people who you can clearly see away from the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, walking upon water, flying in the air, saying where things are that are hidden. These are all from those magicians, those soothsayers. But as Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, we take that awliya have certain miracles. So we are not against all of that. But we are against what we see today, nowadays. Those people who claim to be peers and those people who claim to be awliya of Allah, and what they are doing with that claim and how they are doing it are apparent that they are not from the awliya of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. قال أحمد حدثنا محمد بن جعفر حدثنا عوف عن حيان بن علاء حدثنا قطن بن قبيصة عن أبيه أنه سمع النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إن العيافة والطرق والطير من حبس من الجبت. The Prophet ﷺ, he says, verily al-iyafa and al-tarq and al-tiyara are jibt, are a form of sorcery, are a form of magic. So now the question is, what are these three? Iyafa, the first form. This is superstitions in birds. What they would do is, they would listen to the humming of the bird, how it would sound, how they sung, and this gave them an idea, is something going to be good or is something going to be bad. They will also, by the names of the birds, use their superstitions. Also, when the bird would fly, if it goes to the left, this means they are pessimistic. If it goes towards the right, then optimistic. They would use the birds to determine how they are going to go in the future, how their life's going to go, how they are going to the next week or the next 2 weeks, how it will turn out for them. They will use these birds as superstitions. And also turuq. What they will do on the floor, they will draw a line. And these lines, they say, will give information of your life. How old you will, when will you die, how many children will you have, how much wealth will you amass. They will draw these lines on the ground. And this is what we see today, the palm reading lines on your hand, reading lines on your forehead. These are all new forms of this tariqah that they used to use in the time of Jahiliyyah. Also, tira. And this is considering something as a bad omen, whether past or present. It could be a certain time, certain place, or a certain person as a bad omen that leads to bad luck. You have, when people say if you walk under a ladder it's bad luck, if you see a black cat it's bad luck. All this come under this form where a person thinks any place, person, time is a means of bad luck in a person. And all of this is a form of shirk and is a form of magic. And it's all from jibt. Hassan al-Basri says that it is the sound of the shayateen. Then this has been interpreted as meaning the revelation of the shaitan. The one who follows the revelation of the shaitan has no doubt committed disbelief. In some narrations it simply mentions that it is the shaitan without any reference to the sound. This is all from jibt, meaning of jibt. وعن ابن عباس رضي الله عنهما قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من اقتسب الشعب من النجوم فقد اقتبس الشعب من السحر زاد ما زاد. This is in Rawahu Abu Dawood wa isnaduhu sahih. Ibn Abbas he says, whoever learns a part of astrology, drawing knowledge from the stars, has learned a part of sorcery. Those who learn more are getting that much more. So now one may say, but I learn about the stars. For example, I want to learn about direction. From the stars, I learn where is north, where is south, where is west. If I'm in the middle of a desert, how else would I know where to pray? I will look at the stars to work out which is the Qibla. So is that a form of astrology? We are told there are 3 reasons why the stars were created. One is direction. So this is allowed, direction. One is to beautify the sky. And the third is the shooting star, which we mentioned, to turn away the shayateen, the jinn that want to go and listen to the first heaven where the angel is speaking. It is created for that reason, that they go and kill the jinn that want to go and listen to what is being said. So now, other than these, when somebody says, I want to learn about the stars and the different names, etc., this all comes from a portion of magic, a portion of sihr. Nowadays, we have what? Horoscopes, where people look at people's star signs, when they were born, the month they were born. What's your star sign? Okay, this is how you are going to behave. This is how you are. This is all what? Trying to tell you about the unseen. Trying to tell you about knowledge of how you are going to behave, what is hidden. This is what they are trying to do. This is a form of sihr, a form of magic. من عقد عقدة ثم نفث فيها فقد سحر ومن سحر فقد أشرك ومن تعلق شيئا وقل إليه. Whoever ties a knot and blows on it has committed magic, and whoever commits sorcery has committed shirk. Whoever wears an amulet or a talisman will be subject to its control. Remember before we took the lesson, wearing amulets, wearing any form of ta'weez, wearing something around your wrist. You see, wearing a string around your wrist, we said what is the issue? That you become attached to it. That you feel that is the reason you are getting cured. You take it away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you feel the amulet, that which you have around you is the reason, and you get attached to it and you think this is the reason I am getting cured. This is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or this is the reason my illness has gone away from me. That attachment is what we are trying to get rid of. Here in the hadith it says, وَمَنْ تَعَلَّقَ شَيْئًا وُقِلَ إِلَيْهِ, that the one who wears an amulet or a tablet, a talisman, will be subject to its control. Why? Because he feels it overtakes him. And those people that wear strings and blow upon it, is magic, and it is shirk. And it takes the person out of the fold of Islam. Where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَمِن شَرِّ النَّفَّاثَاتِ فِي الْعُقَدِ, because the one who commits sorcery has committed shirk, because sorcery is based upon acts of pure shirk, so seeking the aid and help of the shayateen. وعند ابن مسعود أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال ألا هل أنبئكم ما العده هي النميمة القال بين الناس. This is what we mentioned before. Shall I not tell you of what al-ad is? It is conveys false rumors for the purpose of causing disputes between people. Say Muslim. This is what we mentioned, namima, conveying gossip and false rumors about one another and spreading it amongst the people. This is known as namima. And it says al-adhu. It is an Arabic word which has multiple meanings such as falsehood, sorcery, and malicious gossip. And namima is malicious gossip, the evil practice of spreading people's news with the aim of causing disagreement and causing disputes between them. And al-qala, an explanation of what namima involves. It is frequent talk which is transferred amongst people, which causes harm and disputes between them. So this is why we must understand this tongue of ours. This is why they say it is either going to take us towards Jannah or it is going to take us towards Jahannam. All we are doing is what? Spreading rumors. And we are being told that this is a form of sihr, a form of magic, and it's something which throws you out of the fold of Islam and takes you towards the hellfire. Because namima falls under the linguistic meaning of sihr for two reasons. That it is done in secret behind people's backs, just as the real sihr. And that it is caused separation between people, just as real sihr is. This is why it falls into this category. وَلَهُمَا عَنِ ابن عمر رضي عنهما أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إن من البيان للسحر that indeed some eloquence in speech can constitute sorcery. خَلَقَ الْإِنسَانَ عَلَّمَهُ الْبَيَانِ, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says He created man and taught him eloquence, taught him speech. Because the speech can what? Bedazzle people. This is why we say, even a Sufi or a Naqshbandi, if you look at the scholars from amongst them, if you listen to their talks, they will put something upon your heart. And you'll want to listen more, even though you know what they are saying is wrong. But just the way of their speaking, the way they eloquently get their words across to you, it hits your heart. It has an emotional effect upon you to the extent you start listening more. This is what? A form of sihr in the linguistic meaning. That this person has bedazzled you, has put that emotional trap on you through what? His speech. Because what? As eloquent speech can present falsehood in the form of truth and vice versa. Hence the hadith condemns this type of sorcery which blurs the truth and presents it as falsehood. The hadith clearly states that deceptive eloquence is a type of sorcery. This is because the effect it has on people is similar to that of real sihr, whereby it changes their perceptions and opinions and separates between people and removes them from the circles of truth to the circles of falsehood. This is all what? Listening to those people. This is why we say, try and take your knowledge or listen to those people who are within Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah, who are within, we can say, the Salafi creed. The moment you start going out and thinking this person is saying something nice, what happens? You will start to then maybe sit in their gathering, to then start loving their gatherings, to then extent start hating the ones who are calling towards truth. So this is why we should stay away from those type of people, even their speeches that we see online, and leave it for the people who are learned to listen and try and dissect where have they made mistakes to convey it to the people. Because we always think that what happens with people is they may read a book or two or listen to a few lectures and all of a sudden think they have a good ground in Islam, a good base in Islam, and they want to go and now debate with those people. They want to go and sit and make sure, I want to know what mistakes are they making. But they come back even more confused. They come back with more questions than answers. And this is where they start to get affected. And this is where you see people start falling away from true Islam, from the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And inshallah we'll stop there. So 2 chapters, 24 and 25 we've done today. And inshallah we'll continue from chapter 26 and 27 next lesson. وما علينا إلا البلاغ المبين. جزاكم الله خير. بارك الله فيكم.